welcome back to my channel. I'm so comfy today. I have my blanket on my lap and I'm just feeling cozy. Hey y'all, I'm editing this video back and I don't know why the audio is horrible. I tried fixing my voice and making it louder than background noise. I guess my air conditioner, I don't really know, but I'm sorry the audio sucks. I'll figure it out at some point, but it is just my phone, so you get what you get. Just letting you know, the audio sucks and I'm really sorry about it. Okay. So here's the situation. I started compiling books for this video and I don't really know what to call this video. So it's mainly just like popular books I've read recently. I don't think I'm gonna keep doing monthly wrap-ups because I'm just simply reading too much, and to wrap up like 8 books at the end of every month is a lot and it takes a really long time. So I think I'm gonna start doing just like kind of different groupings of books that I've read recently. So I don't know if that makes sense, but today we're gonna talk about some noteworthy books that I've read. They're all like 4 or 5 stars and they're all really popular. It just kind of happened that way that I've been reading books that I've been really wanting to read and they're all pretty popular, and I just wanted to share my opinions on them. So that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna start with 3 really popular books that I ended up giving about 4 stars to, and then we'll move on to a couple 5 stars that I've read recently. I'm gonna cover 5 in this video and see how long it is. I love to ramble, especially books that I love, so hopefully this isn't too long and you guys enjoy it. So let's get started. The first book I have here is, let's just talk about it, The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I was so looking forward to this book and I knew it was going to be sad, and so I waited a while to read it because I just wanted to be in the right headspace. So I finally picked it up last month and read it and I ended up giving it 4 stars. The more that I think about this book, like the more anger I feel towards it, the more disappointed I am in it. So I'm like, does it even deserve 4 stars? I don't know. Anyways, I loved Kristen Hanna's other books that I've read. I read The Nightingale, which was like my favorite book last year, and then I also read The Great Alone, which I loved by her. So I was really excited for this one. Unfortunately, it just kind of let me down a lot. So we follow Elsa. This takes place during the Great Depression, kind of Dust Bowl era. This takes place in Texas. We follow Elsa, who is our main character, and mainly follow like her whole adult life. She is kind of the black sheep of her family, who's kind of wealthy, and then obviously everything kind of tanks, and so she also gets pregnant, which is no spoiler, and gets kind of like shunned from her family, and so she moves in with this boy that she's just met and gets married and lives their life obviously in a lot of poverty. And what I didn't like about this book was, I mean, Kristen Hanna is known for sad stories, but I feel like every horrible and sad thing that could have happened to Elsa, and it just became so dark and just no hope at all that it was just not fun to read anymore. Like, I feel like with her other books there was like a little bit of hope, or like a sprinkling of good things happening to our characters, but in this one there was like absolutely nothing. And Elsa has 2 kids and her daughter is just the worst. Like, I literally hated like every character in this book. I really didn't like Elsa as our main character, and so I just didn't cry at all for this book, which was surprising because I sobbed with The Nightingale. I also did not like the romances that were in this book. It starts out like really fast with our main character Elsa, and she just like falls for this boy really quickly, and it's like right off the bat, and it was like kind of shocking and jarring, and I just didn't believe it. And so the rest of the novel, I just like had a bad taste in my mouth from that beginning romance. And it was just, I feel like there was like no heart in this book. I don't know, it just really didn't connect with me, which is really disappointing because I was so anticipating this read. But I ended up giving it 4. I think it was still like a good novel. Like, I don't really regret reading it. I still learned a lot about the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression era in Texas, and then they eventually move out to California. I thought it was still like pretty good historical fiction. Like, Kristen Hanna is really good at what she does, but it just didn't do it for me this time. So kind of disappointed in this one, but I thought I would mention it. I didn't love it, but it is a really popular book that I wanted to speak on. Okay, the next two books, I went to Barnes & Noble and I bought both of them because I just wanted both of them so badly, and I read them one after the other, like a day each, and I gave both of them 4 stars as well. They did not disappoint. See, I liked these a lot more than I liked the Four Winds, so I'm like, maybe Four Winds should be a little lower down, but whatever. So the first one I got was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Is that how you say his last name? Not sure. This is a super popular thriller. I'm sure you've heard of it. I kind of didn't want to read it at first because it had so much hype around it. Then it kind of died down, and then I was like, okay, I think I'm ready for it. So I ended up really liking this. I think you kind of fall into one of 2 categories with this book as I was reading more people's thoughts on it. Like, you either are really new to thrillers and don't really know the tropes yet and can't really guess, and so you end up loving this and not seeing where it's going, and that was kind of where I fell. Or you're really into thrillers and you've read every trope and you've read books like this before, and so you were not surprised by the turn of events at all, and it was kind of not memorable for you. But I loved it. I definitely fall in the first category and really liked it. I think this is my 4th or 5th thriller, so I could not guess what was gonna happen. But basically this follows Alicia, who is the silent patient. One day she comes home and kills her husband in cold blood and never says a word again. And she immediately goes into like this psychiatric hospital and just like has never said a word, and no one knows like why she did it, what the circumstances were. So it's 6 years later, and we follow our other main character, our narrator Theo, and he is a psychiatrist and he's obsessed with this story and really wants to get Alicia to talk, and so he makes it his mission. He gets a job at the psychiatric hospital that she's at and kind of wants to, you know, get her to start talking. Like, what happened? Like, why did you do this? There's a really big, you know, turn of events that I'm obviously not going to spoil, but this just kept me on the edge of my seat. I think it was just like a really good thriller. I really enjoyed it. It went by so quickly for me and I really liked it. I didn't give 5 stars. I don't know like what kind of thriller I would need to read to be 5 stars, you know? Like, I don't know if I'll ever give a thriller 5 stars, but this one was definitely close. I think why I didn't give 5 stars is because there are some plot holes in it. Like, there were some weird things happening that just didn't make sense or didn't connect, and I don't know, I felt like there were some loose ends, and the ending was also kind of anticlimactic and kind of rushed. So I wish the ending was a little bit longer, and like once, I don't know if this is like a spoiler, but she eventually does talk, and when she does, like, it's not what I thought it would be. So anyways, but that is A Silent Patient. I'm so glad I finally read this, and if you're looking for a good thriller and haven't read a lot of thrillers, I think you would really like it. So yeah, that is The Silent Patient. And then the other one that I bought with that was the Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. Oh, I just love a good romance, y'all. So I ended up giving this one 4 stars as well. This is such a cute romance. So we follow our main character, Stella, and she is in her early 30s, I believe, and she is really into computer stuff. She's really, you know, advanced her career. She's really successful, but she does have a form of autism. She is on the spectrum, and that kind of leads her to not know how to act around men or be in a relationship or be intimate with men, and so she takes it upon herself to go onto a escort website and gets the help of Michael, and he looks like a K-drama star. And anyway, so it starts out, you know, obviously just like kind of a professional kind of arrangement. Like, she hires him to kind of help her know how to be intimate with a man because she doesn't really have any practice. And then it kind of goes from there, and we see their romance kind of take off. It's just so freaking cute. I loved this romance. Very steamy as well. We love it, and I don't know what else to say about it. It's just a really cute romance. I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't a 5-star for me, but I think it is really cute and I would highly recommend it. I read somewhere that it's really cool how like kind of the roles were reversed, like gender norms. Like, our main character, who's female, is like really business savvy and really successful, and then our male main character is like a sex worker, and so it's kind of cool seeing that kind of flipped on its head. and I thought was really good at representation. So that's the Kiss Quotient. So the next two books are some 5 stars that I read in the past like week or 2 weeks. One of them I think is pretty popular, and one of them is like a really new release. So I just wanted to talk about both of them in this video. But first one I have is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. She wrote Little Fires Everywhere. Obviously I liked this one a lot more. I'm usually not a huge fan of like suburban dramas, which this one is kind of a little bit, but it does everything for me. So this takes place in Ohio in the 1970s, and we follow a Chinese American family, and we have our 2 parents, our mom and our dad, and then 3 kids. Lydia is kind of who this book is around, who's like based around. She is the middle daughter, and she is dead. Not a spoiler. Her body is found really early on in this book, and so this book kind of explores like what happened to her and what happens to the people that, you know, she's left behind. And Lydia is a really complex character. Her mother had such big dreams for herself. She really wanted to be a doctor, and then she met the father in this story and falls in love and gets pregnant, and so she could never become a doctor, and so she puts all of that pressure on Lydia. And then the father, you know, came from nothing. He really worked hard to create this beautiful life and put all that pressure on Lydia to just be successful and be thankful for what her parents have done for her. And we have the older brother who has a really complex relationship with Lydia, and then we have the younger sister who's just kind of in the background. It's really sad reading about her because she's just such like a small character, and I think that was kind of purposefully done to really put the pressure on Lydia. And so one day she turns up dead when she's 16, and the family is crushed. And it's such a non-perfect family, it's such a non-perfect story, but for such a little book, like, this is a huge story. And the characters, the emotion, the relationships between each family member is just so compelling and beautiful, and it's such a mess, and it's so relatable because we all have like family issues, and I just think it was so well done and so beautiful. And it read like a movie. Like, I could see this being a movie so easily, and I loved it a lot, and I think it is so worth the read. I don't know how popular this book is and how much people talk about it. I think I saw Noelle talk about it, and any book that she loves, I feel like I always love too, so I picked it up. I also love the cover. I kind of wish that this wasn't here and this little knot sticker was here. And look at the spine. The spine is so ugly. So hopefully I'm gonna try and find like a pre-order copy, because I think it deserves that, but I still think the cover is so beautiful. But yeah, and then like the ending is like heartbreaking but also hopeful, and it's not really a murder mystery, but like kind of, and it just like explores each family member after her death and how they grieve differently. And I found myself really liking books like that, so highly recommend. Ouch, this will hurt you, but it is so beautiful and amazing. Let's talk about our last book for this video, Things We Lost to the Water by Eric Wynn. I was so shocked by this book. I was not expecting to love it as much as I did, but here we are. I gave this 5 stars. This is a new release, a debut novel. Oh my god, I want to read every single one of his books. This is an historical fiction novel, which is like my favorite genre. This takes place in the 1970s. That's kind of where we start, and we follow a Vietnamese family who come over to America, specifically New Orleans, after the Vietnam War, which I didn't know was actually a pretty common thing. There's actually a huge community of Vietnamese people in New Orleans, so learned a lot about that. And we follow our main character, who is the mother, and she brings over her 2 sons with her, and there's kind of that splitting up of her and her husband. He stays back in Vietnam, and there's that heartbreak of like her knowing that she's never gonna see him again, but like fights that and tries to be like brave and strong for her sons. It's such a hard story. We see like so much racism, so much poverty, and this mother who is in this new world, like doesn't speak English and is trying to fight for her sons. And then there's kind of that rebellion of her sons. This follows a few decades. We go well into the 2000s when Hurricane Katrina hits, but We see gang activity, we see LGBTQ representation, and kind of the paths that each of the sons take and how they kind of are separating themselves from the mother, which is very difficult for her, and it's just, it hurts. I mean, every historical fiction is sad to me. I think what makes a historical fiction stand out for me is like the little glimmer of hope. I like really grasp onto that, which is why I think I did not like The Four Winds at all, because there was just no hope there. But this one ends with like a little pinch of hope, and I just grasp onto that, and I love it so much. And I think it's such an important story, such an important voice. Absolutely recommend. What a beautiful, like, heartbreaking novel. It is so incredible. Look at this cover. Water obviously plays a big role in this book, which I love when books do that. I feel like a lot of my favorite books are like have water as a huge part of them, like Homegoing. But that is the last book I wanted to talk about in this video for really like notable books. I feel like they're all really popular. I hope this one gets really popular. I loved this. Wow. Yeah, somehow I still talked for like 20 minutes, so I wanted this to be a shorter video, but like I said, sometimes I just ramble and that's what you get. So let me know what you guys think of this kind of video, kind of chopping up books into little groupings. I definitely could make one on like books I'm disappointed in, because I've been reading some like not so great books lately, and I just didn't want to include any today because I just wanted to be on a more positive note. But that is all I have for you for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!